Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Now today I need to talk to you about the Model S Plaid, which by any and all means is a hardcore smackdown to gasoline cars. And the delivery event was short, but we got some really good details about the numbers, about the performance, and also about the car itself. So let's dive into it. Now before we dive into the video, if you like the t-shirt, know that you can get your own one at the Testing the Tesla webshop, either at the link below or via the link in the description. But let's talk about the car now. And as soon as the car was introduced by Elon Musk launching it through that light tunnel, you could already see that this was very quickly and it's just an amazing car. You could see the numbers at the top there as well in that view that they gave from the inside of the car. So some of you have already asked me, is there going to be a track package or a track mode for this car? It might be included, and they might use the AP cameras with maybe the overlay of the data of the accelerometer and the horsepower, for example. So that would be really cool to have that fully integrated. Of course. Now important is also the numbers, of course. The car is going 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. Now during the event and the several clips that I've seen from all the YouTubers that were present there, I've never seen a car come anything close to that. Brooks had a Draggy with him that gave a 0 to 60 time of 2.74 seconds. Granted, there were 3 people in the car, and maybe that Draggy, I know it can include or exclude that 1 foot rollout. We don't know the settings for that, but still, it's nowhere near that 2 second mark. Now we have to take that weight into account of the additional passengers and everything, but I still have my doubts whether you can pull that off on the street or whether Tesla just meant you can do that on a well-prepared drag strip. I guess we'll find out soon once people get this car in their hands and we'll try it on any possible location. But if you have such a car and you are willing to try it, please keep it safe. At these speeds, these kinds of accelerations, you need to change your mindset drastically. It's already quite difficult with a P100D if you come from a regular car. It's just, you have to think so far ahead. So I hope that the first ones that are trying this out are keeping it safe and giving us some really good information on the real world performance under safe conditions. Now the second thing is the horsepower. Now the car has 1020 horsepower and that is generated by 3 motors. They are permanent magnet motors and they are carbon sleeved motors. Now we'll do a separate video on the carbon sleeve motor thing because it can get quite complicated, but it has a very good reason why it is doing that. But those motors are each generating 400 horsepower. Now if you add that up, you come to 1200 horsepower, but the car still has 1020. Now probably there are 2 possible explanations. The first one is, for me, the most logical one, is that the gearing for the front and the rear is going to be a little bit different. So the motor from the rear is not going to achieve peak performance at the same time as the motor from the front. The second possible explanation is that they left some margin because Elon Musk briefly hinted at something like that by saying, okay, the motors are turning at 20,000 RPM or maybe a little bit more. So I think they left some margin, some room for improvements. After all, it's mostly software and Tesla can tweak it. We've seen it in other cars. They can tweak it in the end. They might sell us an additional performance upgrade, like they did with the Model 3. Could be. And if they charge like 2,000, 3,000 for that, that's still acceptable, but they might charge a lot more for it as well, just because it's the Plaid, and then you can turn your Plaid into a Plaid Plus. Now talking about the Plaid Plus, according to my information and what I gathered from everything that has been said. I think that the Plaid Plus was cancelled because they still have problems with producing the 4680 cells in large volumes. There was nothing mentioned about the new battery. Elon just said, well, we have a new battery pack and architecture and better cooling, but he didn't mention anything. So if it were the 4680, he would have made a lot more fuss about it. So for me, it is most likely still a pack with the 18650. Probably with some additional improvements in terms of maybe some higher silicium content there for the higher power. But we'll have to see until somebody can figure out what exactly is in that pack. But yeah, so no 4680, and most likely because of that also no structural pack design yet in this car. Now the car is also capable of doing 200 miles an hour, but not just yet, because the website specifically states that the top speed will only be achieved with specific wheels and tires. And those will be available in the fall of this year. Now we all know it's Elon time, so probably it will be a little bit later, but I find this kind of peculiar because there are a lot of other cars out there that are already doing more than 200 miles an hour, and the tires exist for that. So I don't know what specifics Elon was referring to when he mentions the tires on the website, or Tesla refers to, I should say. The rims, I can kind of get that they want to have specific rims, lighter rims, maybe magnesium alloy rims instead of just the aluminum ones. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, we still can't do that, apparently. And if anybody wants to try, once more, please don't do that on public roads. Make sure that you're on a racetrack so we get some really good data in safe conditions. Now, another thing that I noticed is that he was also talking about a very big radiator for better cooling of the battery. But that immediately made me think maybe the Frunk is a little bit smaller. And if we take these two images side by side, one that was taken at the event, the other one is my current P100D Frunk, you can see that there is a difference. It seems like the new one is a little bit shallower. It doesn't have that side step that's in there, and it's a little bit narrower, I think. And it also needs to have more room for the heat pump, of course. So I do think that the Frunk will actually be a little bit smaller than what we have right now. Which is unfortunate because it seems like with every iteration, the trunk space or the cargo space for the car diminishes. You got the subwoofer in the back that takes away one of the side pockets, which I use all the time for storing some cables on the one hand, but when we are traveling, a lot of luggage goes into that space as well. And now the Frunk is getting smaller, where I keep all my additional charging cables, not the T2 and not the UMC, but extension cables, CEE red plug cables, that kind of stuff. And my mono wheel is also in the Frunk for when I want to drive around a little bit while supercharging. So I think it's a pity that all of these things are constantly getting a little bit smaller, but we're getting a lot of performance in return. And also because of the bigger radiator, because of the new architecture, the better cooling, one of the items of the carbon sleeved rotors is also that the motors themselves, they generate less heat. So the performance will be more sustained, the performance will be better, and also the winter performance because of the heat pump will be a lot better. Elon even said you will hardly notice the difference between summer and winter. He then also went on about the interior, and first of all they showed off the horizontal 17-inch display, which is awesome, but the back display they also showed that it was playing a game or a movie at that point, and while it's looking crisp, the bezels on that thing are just so huge. I think it should better be like an OLED screen that can even wrap around the sides. If they can make phones for that, they can do it in the car as well. So I think that's kind of a missed opportunity. Maybe in the next iteration that will be better, but thick bezels, not of this time anymore. Then we move on to the audio with the 22 speakers. Again, it's all sounding impressive, and Elon actually reiterated that the car will be silent even when you're driving 100 miles an hour. So that is awesome. But it didn't specifically mention anything anymore about the active noise cancelling that the car would have. So I was expecting to get some more information out of that, maybe on how it works, when it works, if you have to turn it off or on, that kind of stuff. And also what I'm curious about is, with all the speakers and the noise cancelling, will we still be able to follow a phone conversation on the outside of the car? Because right now, on the outside of the car, if somebody is making a phone call, even when you're sitting in traffic in your own car, it is so loud on the outside. There has to be a better way of keeping that sound inside and keeping the phone call private, basically. Now, Elon also didn't specifically mention the V11 UI, the new interface, but it was shown on the cars and it was available in the cars. And it will have to be, because the car will guess which way you want to drive. I still have huge reservations about how good that will be, but we will see in the next couple of weeks or months how others are experiencing that. Unfortunately, I still have my reservation for the Plaid Plus, which I guess will be converted to the Plaid, but I'll have to wait to at least Q1 2022. But again, Elon time, it might be Q2 before I will be able to get my car and do the tests myself. Now, when we go back to the performance, Elon showed the power curve of the different cars. So my first car I had was a P85D. Now I'm driving a P100D. I'm skipping the Raven and moving directly to the Plaid version. But if you look at this power curve, it is just so vastly different and so much more powerful. I once did a not perfect run from 0 to 155 miles an hour, or 0 to 250 kilometers an hour in 24 seconds. Now with this car, I'm thinking we will be well below the 20 seconds to do that run. Now, when they showed the slide about the sound system, it also mentioned Tesla acoustic glass. There is also nothing mentioned there. So is it going to be double laminated like they do on Audis, for example? Do they have another glass processing system that makes it more acoustic for that matter? I don't know. Again, we'll have to wait and see until we get some more details from the actual owners or they update the website. Now, one last thing we need to mention is, of course, because the Plaid Plus has been cancelled, some were thinking maybe they put everything that was Plaid Plus into this car, but unfortunately that is not the case. So while the performance is really great and it seems to be a sustained performance with better cooling, new architecture that will provide with that cooling, the motors that will not get so hot and that kind of stuff, but the range is not what I was hoping it would be. I was going for the Plaid Plus for two reasons. One, it is of course the fastest car that is out there, but a second reason, and was also a main reason, was in fact the 520 mile range, or the 840 plus kilometer range, which would be almost doubling what I have currently in my P100D, where I have about 436 kilometers at this point left in my battery, coming from 479 when it was brand new. Now, I did do a lot of supercharging, a lot of long drives, quite frequently driving to 5% or below when I'm on road trips. So yeah, that all affects the degradation, but I have quite a large degradation compared to the average. If you look at Martin Steinbuch's graph of all Teslas and the degradation average there. But yeah, I find it a pity that I don't have the additional range, but it will not stop me from buying this car because my lease is also up next February, so I need to get a new car anyway. Why not get this one, which will now probably be cheaper than the Plaid Plus I had on order. So yeah, there you have it. Some details about the Model S Plaid. I really like the new interior design. At first I was not really sure about it, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. The exterior design, it's small changes that are there, but it's the performance that is really going to be a massive difference compared to my current P100D. So I'm really looking forward to owning this car and sharing my experience with you guys. And don't forget, I will also do a separate video on the carbon sleeve rotors with some more technical details, why it is important and why they do this kind of thing, and why they basically invented machines to be able to create this, which again means that Tesla is really at the front of the technological advancements in terms of EVs and performance within EVs, efficiency within EVs. They don't always have the most efficient cars, but the most efficient EVs, those are the ones that are not going 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. That's the trade-off you have to keep in mind. So as always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and make sure you click that little bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. And for now, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.